Paul Fritschner with James Farr. James, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, man. I can't complain. I'm healthy with my family, so a lot less things could be going outside of my favor right now. But I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. So how things been going with your playing career lately, and take us through your update and where you've been and how things have been since you left Xavier.
Yeah, my playing career is going pretty good. My first year it was a little rocky when it started out. Huge culture shock, but once I got used to everything with the culture and learned my teammates more, it was pretty much smooth sailing since then. I've been in Hungary, France, Germany, Philippines, Japan, and Croatia. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
what was the biggest culture shock going over there and learning all those different things?
Man, food, honestly, you gotta try different foods. You got to broaden your horizon. So it's like you're gonna have to do some things you're not used to, and you got to learn some different parts of the culture. But it's all good when you accept it and you actually embrace it. And once you embrace it, it makes the process a lot easier.
Yeah. So going from the Big East to playing in all those leagues all over the world, how do you feel like the Big East prepared you to play against all that different competition?
Ah, man, it was awesome. My last year in the Big East was probably like one of the Big East is probably like the best conference in the whole country at the time. We had, I think, at one point it was like four teams in the top 15 in the top 25 rankings. So it was like it was physicality, it was skill, it was every position was good, and just transferring over to overseas. It made me more of a better player, made me lock in more, it made me appreciate where I was at, because every league is not the same. So when you go overseas and you see other players that you played against, it's like, oh man, we were going at it. Like I hated the food in college, but man, like you're like then you meet up with these guys, and you're so happy to see other people from your country overseas, and it's like, hey man, I respect you. Like you brought the best out of me every game. So it's cool, man. It was good.
Who were some of those guys that you played with overseas that you played against here?
Ben Bentel from Providence,
Providence. Yep.
Ben Bentel, Daniel Chefu, Villanova. Um, there's a few more, man. It's a lot of them. I can't remember at the top of my head right now, but
Yeah.
those are the two that I really went to battle with. So I can name those guys for sure easily. And there's a couple more point guards and guards, and shooting guards.
So when you guys get together, are you talking about the college days and what the games were like playing against in college, or what's those conversations like?
I mean, how good college was to us at times, man. It was like, when you go overseas, like you don't travel like how you travel in in college. The chartered flights, the nice hotels, the big beds, the good food, and all of that, man. When you get overseas, it's like you get these tiny twin beds, and you're taking 8-9 hour bus rides. The food can be very, very disappointing. Yeah, man. So it's a grind. It's a grind, but we love what we do, and you can only appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. So looking back at your career at Xavier, everybody talks a lot about your transition of your career from where you were as a freshman to where you ended up as a senior. As a freshman, you didn't get a whole lot of minutes, and especially into your sophomore year when you're stepping out, taking a lot of threes. And then as a senior, you're one of the best rebounders in the country. What was that progression like behind the scenes for you? Was it conversations consistently with the coaching staff that you saw your career progress, or was it you personally looking at the film and saying, hey, look, I'm a big guy. This is where I need to be able to succeed? Or was it a combination of the two? Or how did you see your career develop like that?
Honestly, starting with my freshman year, that was a tough year. We didn't go to any tournament that year. We were very shorthanded. You know, we had a lot of great guys on that team. Like Brad Redford, I was teammates with Brad Redford, and I'm one of the last Atlantic 10 players. So, so that was a tough year, man. But yeah, man. But honestly, it's funny because that year, my freshman year, me and Coach Mack had sat down, and he actually told me, he's like, "Look, you're a great rebounder. Like you're a naturally great rebounder. Let's try and make you more of an inside presence." And like at the time, my body wasn't as big, as it got to my senior year, and I was really frail. I was not accepting of contact, so it was like, I don't know if that's meant for me. So me and him kind of went back and forth on that, but it's all love, Coach Mack. I love him to death, man. But Yeah, he saw the vision for me ever since I was a freshman, and my sophomore year, I get more playing time. I was shooting a little bit better. I was rebounding even at a higher rate. My role was increasing on the team, so I was like, okay, this is going in the right direction. But when teams gotta when teams caught up to how they can guard me and how they can make coverages on me, and knowing that what I want to do, I want to pick and pop more than I want to roll. They were like, okay, you know what? Okay, we got him. All we have to do is switch and just pressure him. He doesn't like pressure, so I was like, okay, okay. So that summer, I went and stayed at Xavier the whole summer. I didn't go home. I didn't go
In
home at
between
all.
your freshman and sophomore year?
In between my sophomore and junior year,
Junior year,
going into
okay.
my junior year after my sophomore
Gotcha.
season, because we lost to NC State in the first four-in game in Dayton, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's when Coach Mack really, really turned up. And he was like, okay, you know what? I just went to a Sweet 16 before you guys came in here with Tu Holloway and Mark Lyons and Kenny Freeze, and now we're on the verge of not making the tournament for 2 years straight. Man, when I say practices were hell at that time, it was it was bad, man. But it really lit a fire under us, and so going into my junior year, I didn't go home that summer at all. I stayed on campus. I took my courses. I worked out with Coach McGeese and Coach Jennings, the weight room coach, every day. Um, just trying to transfer my game to what Coach Mack saw for me, and I showed glimpses of that going into my junior year. I had some good games. I had some mediocre games, but that summer going into my senior year is when I really turned it up. I had more pressure on me, going into that senior year, because I'm like, my whole career has gone up and down like a roller coaster. So I'm like, I want to be as consistent as I can, but also I just want to win. That was the main thing for me. At Xavier, Dante Jackson always told me, he said, if you don't hang any banners, what you did at Xavier doesn't really matter. So, I'm glad I got one Sweet 16 banner up there. I wish we had, man, I really thought we were going to go all the way my senior year, man, but yeah, we had different plans. Well, Wisconsin had different plans, and yeah, that's pretty much it, though, man.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that later, but since you brought it up, I'll ask you now. And I know it's a tough memory, but it's one that sticks out to a lot of people because of how talented you guys were your senior year. And then to have it end so abruptly like that, what did you feel like was the ceiling for that team your senior year? Had things maybe broken a little different way against Wisconsin?
I honestly thought, man, if we beat Wisconsin, I'm like, we're Final Four for sure. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to the Final Four. I just didn't think any team could. We were so deep, man. Every position, we were at least two or three people deep in every position. You had Edmond, Larry Austin at the point guard. At shooting guard, you had JP. You had Remy Abel. You have Miles Davis. Miles Davis played both positions at the 1 and 2 if he needed to. And Trayvon. Trayvon you can just say his name alone. It's like Trayvon at the 3. Then you had Kaiser Gates at the 4, Sean at the 4 and 5, me at the 4 and 5, Jalen at the 5. McKinday. We were so deep at every position, man. It was just really sad the way that ended for us. But
Yeah. Yeah. So when you look at that team and you talk about the depth of that team, and you look at some of the other Xavier teams, the team a couple years ago that gets a 1 seed, the first Elite Eight team, looking back all the way back, how many years, 2004, that you look at some of these older teams. Did you feel like that team, and talking to some guys, now I know you're maybe a little biased because you were on that team, but do you feel like that was one of the most talented Xavier teams that there's ever been?
I'm a guy who does their homework pretty well, and I always give my due diligence to the teams that came before us. So I don't want to say we were better than anybody. For sure, I would never say that. But talent-wise, I think there's no doubt about it. We were talented as any other team that came through Xavier. We just didn't win, But talent-wise, I would say we were just as talented. I won't say more talented, but I think we were just as talented, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I think that's relevant to the program now that you went through was the latter half of that rebuilding process. I mean, you went through it where you didn't make the tournament and then you end your career as a 2 seed, and you look at the evolution of Coach Mack and his career, and especially like what Coach Steele is going through now. I mean, you played under Coach Mack and Coach Steele was his assistant.
Mhm.
So how do you look at that transition and the rebuild of what Coach Mack did to build the program into a 2 seed versus what Coach Steele is trying to do right now with the guys that he has?
No, I have no doubt about it. I think Coach Steele is an amazing coach. His basketball brain is undeniably like one of the best basketball brains I've ever seen in my life. And I think every program needs a rebuilding phase. You know, you can only do so many great things. Like look at Golden State. I'm not saying Xavier's Golden State, but look at that. Like, they had the greatest run that we've ever seen in the last 4 or 5 years. And they get some people that's injured, some people leave. And, it's a rebuilding phase. But I have no doubt about it in my mind that Xavier's going to be back at that level that they need to be at. I think we just built a crazy state of the art facilities around the campus, and more people are coming to Xavier. There's more things to offer for students and student athletes, and and Coach Steele, he's a great guy to talk to. He's a great recruiter, and I have no doubt in my mind that he'll get it back to where it needs to go.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite memories from specific games? What was your favorite game that you played in as a player at Xavier? Obviously, maybe Villanova sticks out your senior year, but
yeah, that's a given. That's a given. Not too many people can say they beat a number one team on their home court.
What was that like, James?
Man, the funny thing is we always knew we could beat Villanova. It was never one of those things like, man, I don't know how we're going to get this done. But it was like, no, we always believed we can beat them. The first time we played at Villanova, Edmond goes down, scary fall. And, we were just, our heads weren't in it after that. And you see your teammate get carried off on a stretcher, your mind's not in the game. We were so close-knit as a team and such a family-oriented base. It was like, man, we can care less about this game. We want to see how Edmond's doing. So, granted, we wish we could have had a different result, but it is what it is. But we knew we had another crack at them. And when they came to our house, we knew what our fans were going to bring for us. So all we had to do was just lace them up and just go to war. And that game was so fun, man. That game was so fun.
What was the lead up into that game when you realize the students are camping out for a while and the campus is buzzing and the fans are going to be packed and everybody's getting there as early as they can be right when the doors open, and you guys going through that day or the practices that week? What's that leading into that game like?
Man, it was weird too because that game was like on a Wednesday, like in the middle of the week. So it was like, man, you don't, those games are like kind of weird, but just to see how our fans really just showed up, and you get goosebumps. Like when you're in the locker room, you can still hear the fans, like how loud it was, like, and it was crazy. It's like, man, they want us to win this bad, like, because at the time we were number 5 in the country, Villanova is number 1, so this wasn't like if we win, it's going to be an upset. Like, this is like oh no, this is a war right here. Like who's the best in the Big East, and we believe we were the best in the Big East at the time. So, I mean, that was the upcoming for it, but we never thought we would lose.
Yeah. What's it like for you as an alumni to see the team go on to win the Big East and to see the heights that they achieved? Now, granted, in the tournament, again, it was a little disappointing, but to see them go on and knock out Nova and be the only team since then to win an outright title that isn't Villanova.
It was great to see. I'm overseas. I was in my first year. Yeah, I was in my first year overseas, and I'm watching the game. I'm up to it's like 3 a.m. over there and overseas, and I'm like watching the game. I'm hyped, and all I thought about when they won, when they went far into the tournament, all I was thinking about was that locker room after we lost to Wisconsin. Everybody's in there crying. Everybody's in there, saying their appreciation for everybody. The coaches are crying, and it was a real surreal thing. And I think that's what made JP, Trayvon, Sean, and all those guys, Edmond, make them turn the corner because they saw the other side to this. Nothing's given in the tournament. Yeah, we had a great year. We went 28-6 the whole year. When you lose, it doesn't matter. So, like, when you see that other side and they see, like, okay, we're going to be seniors next year, time is coming short. So it's like, all right, so this is what we have to do. This is how we have to prepare. I'm not going to have this feeling again. And they did exactly that. And, it was great to see.
Was that something the coaching staff tried to instill, like when you came back in that locker room? Were they saying like, hey, guys, remember this feeling for next year?
Of course. Coach Mack, he always had this saying like, hey, I know this sucks now, but hey, the sun always shines tomorrow. You know, for the seniors, I know this is going to hurt for a long time, but for the guys returning, don't have this feeling again. You know, I
Yeah.
had no doubt about it. We're going to be in the same position next year, and don't have this feeling again. And I mean, they did exactly that. They remembered this feeling, and I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't be
Yeah.
more proud.
Who was the toughest player, James, in the Big East to go up against?
The toughest player, individual player.
Yeah, toughest player that when you laced it up against him, you thought, oh man, it's gonna be a war tonight.
Is this my like freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior? Like
Anybody you played against.
Doug McDermott, no doubt about it. Doug McDermott was the toughest player I've ever had to. I didn't guard him the whole game, but I had to guard him a little bit. And when I guarded him, it was bad, man. It was bad. It was bad, man.
Outside of the obvious, what made him so tough?
He's just so smart, man. He's savvy. He's smooth. He's quicker than what you think he is too, man. He'll go and just go off a screen and just curl and just rise up and cash. There's nothing you can do about it. He just knew his angles, he knew his spots. He was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the best memories you have from Xavier outside of basketball, whether maybe a class, a professor, or something on campus? What are some of your best memories from Xavier outside of the court?
Outside of the court, oh man, oh man, it'd probably have to be. Is this like with the team or just like this?
Anything from
Anything
Xavier
outside?
that when you think of Xavier outside of basketball, you think, oh man, I really enjoyed that.
Um, yeah. So my junior year, it was my junior year. We had a. It was in the summertime. The whole team was there. We had a retreat, and this is going into our senior year. So we had a retreat, and we stayed the night. It was like it's like in like these dorms in like the middle of nowhere, and we had this like it wasn't. I wouldn't say she's a therapist, but she was kind of like a team therapist, and we just sat and talked. You know, we got to spend time with each other. No phones, no video games, no things to do on campus. It was just like, hey, we're in the middle of nowhere. This is us. You're forced to sit down and talk with each other and get to know each other, and we found out things about everybody. Everyone shared personal stories, and we cried together, we laughed together, and that's what really brought us close. And I would say that right there was like the most pivotal time and one of my favorite moments because I got to sit down and talk to everyone that year and see who they are from the inside and from the out, and what makes them upset, what makes them happy. And after that, the rest is history. Once we got going, it was over with.
Yeah. A lot of people look at your career as like the epitome of a Xavier career where you start off, you evolve, and then by the end of your senior year, you're as productive as you are. What does Xavier bring to the table as a program? What makes Xavier different for somebody like you or a player like you coming in? What separates Xavier as a program that has been able to let guys like you reach the heights that you have?
I would say the patience. Xavier, we're a well-known program, but we're not at the status of a Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky. So we're not gonna be glorified like that. So only thing you can do is work. So
Yeah.
all we know is work. Nothing's given, you earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not taking anything away from those other universities I named because they
Yeah.
work for everything they have too. Um, but at Xavier, all we do is work, man. We embrace the challenge. We challenge each other. We have fun doing it, and just from that moment, you commit. You feel the family already. Like, I remember when I committed back in 2011. It was like that's like almost 10 years ago. Goddamn. But yeah, man. So I committed in 2011, and next thing I know, I'm getting like emails and tweets and welcome to the family, and we're so glad to have you. So glad you committed. And like, it's like when you see those things as a 17, 18-year-old, it's like, I'm so glad I came here. Like I've seen instances where people commit and it's like, ah, man, I wish we'd have got this player. This player was a number 76 player in the nation. He's only 84. Like I've seen stuff like that. And I wasn't ranked at all, for them still to embrace me. It was like, That's what I love about Xavier. It's real family oriented.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a couple more questions before I let you go. First of all, your junior year shootout, and you go to Cincinnati, and you win by, I think it was 2 points, 59-57.
Yeah.
And D Davis hits that clutch three at the very end. What is that game? Was that one of your favorite shootouts, or what was that game like for you to go over there and win at Cincinnati?
Uh, yeah, that was a great feeling because whenever you beat your rival team on their home court, it's pretty special. Having that gym be as quiet as it was,
Yeah.
so it was like, all right, I like this. So we were on the court celebrating. I'm like, I'm liking this, man. This is cool. And that was one of my better games as a junior too, as well. So, it was fun, man. You just it's in those type of games. It's not about individual like success. When you see people like D Davis, who's going through the fire his senior year, he turns it up. So it's like, all
Mhm.
right, he's hitting these big shots. Matt Stainbrook is going off. Jalen Reynolds, Trayvon Blue. It's like, all right, man, we got something going right here. All right. But my favorite shootout game was probably at Cintas because that was the first one I've ever played at home. My first 2 years they were at the U.S. Bank Arena because of the neutral
Mhm.
site. So it was like, it was more people that showed up. It was great at U.S. Bank Arena, but it just wasn't Cintas. And it
So
was
your senior year one, you thought was your
yeah, for
favorite?
sure. Because I got to end my career. I went 3-1 against Cincinnati, which I very, very hold to value. But no, but at Cintas, it was just different, man. It was like standing room only. The whole arena's wearing white, and it's like we know we're gonna win. It's like we were on a roll that year. Like so, it's like I think we won 12 straight non-conference games. We didn't lose a non-conference game that year, and so to end my rivalry of Cincinnati on that note at home, it was great.
So that's twice now against Villanova at home and Cincinnati at home. You're saying you guys knew you were going to win. Was it just a confidence? You guys just knew, hey, we felt good in practice. We're going in. We got them.
No, yeah, the biggest thing for us was like protect the home court. We don't lose at home. I think we lost one game at home, and that was against
Georgetown.
Georgetown. That was the only
Yeah.
game we lost at home the whole year, and we were mad, man. We were so mad because we knew they shouldn't have beat us, but it was like we overestimated them, and they came out hot. We came out lackadaisical, and we couldn't get ourselves out of a hole that we dug ourselves in. So those things happen, but those games are necessary to learn from them.
What's the biggest difference? Is it just the travel? Is it the fans? Is it the hostility? But one of the biggest mantras in sports is protect the home court, protect the home field, versus when you go out of town and have to play in an opponent's facility. What is it? What's the biggest difference as a player between playing at home and playing away, outside of just like playing in front of your home fans?
I love away games, by the way, but when it comes to home games, it's more of a pride thing. I'm a big Game of Thrones watcher, so I love Game of Thrones, except for that last episode. It was
It
one
didn't end the way
episode.
you wanted it to.
Oh my god, it was the worst ending I've ever seen, man. I felt so betrayed. That was the worst ending I've ever seen in my life, man.
Yeah, it
Worst
wasn't
ending.
great.
It was bad, man. But you know, it was one episode where you know, they were coming in, the ice people were coming in to the castle, and they were like, "No, you're not coming in this house, man, and taking over. I don't care what you have, the fire breathing dragons, whatever you have, you're not coming in here." And, they held it down, and like that's what we had to do. Like, you're not going to come in our house and just party, like because we know how that feels. Like I know how that feels. I've lost a lot on that home court my first 2 years, so I was like, then no one's having this feeling again.
Yeah. James, I really appreciate you taking the time. I hope all is well with you, and best of luck moving forward with everything.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.